Greetings, friends. I'd like to show y'all a few of my favorite magic tricks. I've been studying magic since I was about 10 years old. I know hundreds of tricks, except since I've been in college, I haven't been able to practice my magic tricks the way that I would like to. And if you don't practice, then you won't be able to perform at your top level. And I don't like to perform unless I perform at my best. So I've been practicing a little today, and I'd like to show y'all some of these tricks. First, I'd like to show y'all some tricks with some handkerchiefs. Here is a red hanky. Now what I want you to do is to think of your favorite color and look at the hanky. Just think of your favorite color and magic. Well, it's not a hanky. I bet you'd like to see that trick again. Well, watch the wand as I shake it. 1, 2, 3 more hankies. Now, go in here for a smaller wand. You see this hand is empty, and this hand is empty. If I take the wand, I have another hanky. Alright, now I think in my back pocket I have 3 more handkerchiefs. A white hanky, a blue hanky, and a red hanky. Now, I'm going to take these handkerchiefs, well, red first. Red, white, and blue, and I'm going to stuff them down into my hand. Roll them up into a tight little ball, and then I'm going to reach into the bottom of my hand and pull out an American flag. Who says that I'm not patriotic? Alright, you saw the tricks with the handkerchiefs. Well, some of my most favorite tricks are tricks with what we call sponge balls. I'm going to reach into my pocket and pull out a red sponge ball. I want you to watch this sponge ball, because if I take it and put it in this hand, it disappears. Now when the sponge ball disappears, it usually goes back to the pocket. Now there's a second part to this trick. It's where I take the same sponge ball and I stuff it into my hand, and we play a guessing game. Now you guess which hand the sponge ball is in. Go ahead and guess. The right hand, well, there's a sponge ball, but it's black. The left hand, well, there's a sponge, but it's a big square. Alright, I'll show y'all some more sponge ball tricks. We have a green sponge ball. I'm going to take the green sponge ball, I'm going to put it in my hand. Now watch. It disappears. When the sponge ball disappears, it usually goes back to the pocket. Now I take the sponge ball and I roll it, and I roll it, and look what happens. Now I have 2 sponge balls. Alright, now watch this trick very closely. That sponge ball disappears, and it jumps into that hand. That's pretty amazing. Now these are quite spectacular sponge balls. They have some amazing capabilities. They can jump from one hand to the other. They can jump from my hand to my pocket. If I take this sponge ball and put it into my pocket and then rub on the outside of my pocket, that sponge ball melts right through my pocket. Now I take the second sponge ball, put it with that one, and I roll. And what do you think is going to happen? 3 sponge balls. 1, 2, 3. Remember, these are amazing sponge balls. I can take one and it disappears. Where does it go? right back to the pocket. Now, I'm going to show y'all probably my favorite sponge ball trick. I take one sponge ball and put it in my hand. I take the second sponge ball and put it in my hand. I take the third sponge ball and put it in my pocket. Now, how many in my hand? Actually, 3. Now, I know what you're thinking. You did that a little too fast. I couldn't keep up. Well, you know what? A magician is never supposed to do the same trick 2 times in a row. But just for you, I'm going to do the same trick 2 times in a row. And I'm even going to do it slower. I take the first sponge ball and put it in my hand. I take the second sponge ball and put it in my hand. I take the third sponge ball and put it in my pocket. Now, how many sponge balls in my hand? 2? No, you should have guessed 3. 3 sponge balls. Now, I said that a magician is never supposed to do the same trick 2 times in a row. Well, you should definitely never do the same trick 3 times in a row. But I'm going to break all the rules of magic. I'm going to take the first sponge ball and put it in my hand. Take the second sponge ball and put it in my hand. Take the third sponge ball and put it in my pocket. Now, how many sponge balls in my hand? Actually, they're all gone. Now, sleight of hand is probably my favorite style of magic. It's called prestidigitation, which means fancy finger action, or the hand is quicker than the eye. I'm going to do some more ball tricks for y'all. Here I have a nice shiny billiard ball. Now I'm going to take this ball, and on the count of 3 I'm going to toss it up. 1, 2, 3, and it's gone. Now, of course, we all know things really can't just disappear in midair, right? So if your eye is as quick as my hand, then you saw that I slipped that ball into my pocket. Okay, that's not a very good trick, but a really good trick is where you reach into the air and you get a ball from nowhere. Did you miss that? I'll do it again. I reach into the air and get a ball from nowhere. Now I know what you're thinking. Are those balls even real? Well, I'm going to take the middle ball and you catch. Now just look at it. Examine it. Play along with me. Now when you're finished examining it, just throw it back. And I'll catch it just like that. Now those are pretty good tricks. Now I'm going to take the middle ball and swallow it. Alright, now I just made a big mistake, because there's only 2 ways I can get that ball back. I can either make myself sick and throw it up, and I don't want to do that, or I could wait for the ball to come back naturally, and I'm not going to do that. But I'm a magician, so there's a 3rd way, a magic way to get that ball back. What I do is I reach right into my gut and I pull that ball out. Now, that's a pretty good trick, but it's not as good as the trick where you reach into the air and you get a ball from nowhere. 4 balls. Now, if I can make 4 balls just appear out of nowhere, I should be able to make them disappear. Well, let's see. I take the first one, and it's gone. Line up the other 3. This time I won't even cover up the balls. Just shake, and one of those balls disappears. Where does it go? Well, remember, when the balls disappear, they usually go back into a pocket. I'm going to put that ball away. Now we have 2 balls. The tricks with the 2 balls are probably the best because they happen so quick that if you blink, you miss the magic. But I can do it again. Don't blink because you'll miss the magic. I'm going to put this ball away, and we're back to where we started with just 1 ball. Now the tricks with 1 ball are probably the best because they're the most amazing. You take the ball and make it disappear, and it comes back. Toss the ball back and forth, and it disappears, and it comes back. Now, I think I have one more good trick to show you, if I can find, there it goes, my dollar. This is just a regular George Washington. Too bad it's not a Ben Franklin, but I'm not rich. Now, there's a lot of counterfeit money in America, but I devised a test for counterfeit money. What you do is you take a solid object, like a pen. You put the pen behind the dollar, and then if you tap the pen, you stab the dollar. I know what y'all are thinking. Did he really just stab his dollar? Well, that's not the rest of the test for counterfeit money. The second part is the rip test. If I take this pen that's through the dollar and I rip it through the dollar, if this is a real dollar, there should be a hole in the middle and a rip right through the side. But there's no hole and there's no rip, so that must be a counterfeit. If it was yours, I'd say you don't want to have counterfeit money on your person, so I'll just take it and dispose of it like a good Christian should do. Thank y'all for watching the tricks.